This happened when I was 12. It was Halloween, and my family had booked a weekend at a small resort in the Lake District, about an hour from our home in Manchester. My parents wanted to do something different that year instead of the usual neighborhood trick-or-treating. The resort was hosting a Halloween celebration with games, activities, and a haunted hayride. It wasn't a big place, maybe 10 cabins, a main lodge, a small lake, and a wide-open field for hayrides and games. Woods surrounded everything. During the day, it looked peaceful. But once night fell, the woods turned black and eerie, and the resort felt too quiet. We checked in early that afternoon. I remember walking into the cabin, excited by the smell of campfire smoke and candy apples in the air. Kids were already running around in costumes. My parents said the hayride would start around 7, with games beforehand. So I went off to play while they unpacked. There were booths for ring toss, a costume contest, and pumpkin carving. Orange lights and fake spider webs were everywhere. I met another kid my age. His name was Jamie. He wore a skeleton costume and said his family was in the cabin next to ours. We played a few games and collected a decent stash of candy. As it got closer to 7, families gathered near the hayride area. A tractor waited by a big barn with hay bales lined up inside the wagon. About 20 of us climbed aboard. The driver wore a scarecrow mask, and staff dressed as zombies jumped out to scare people during the ride. It started out fun. It was dark by then, and torches lit the dirt trail. The tractor moved slowly through the woods, and every so often, someone in costume would leap from behind a tree or run up to the wagon. People laughed, screamed, then laughed again. It felt like a typical Halloween attraction, until halfway through, when something felt off. We entered a darker stretch of trail. The tractor slowed. I looked toward the edge of the woods on my side. That's when I saw him. A man stood just outside the torchlight. He wasn't part of the cast, I could tell immediately. No costume, just a black jacket, jeans, and a baseball cap pulled low. Hands in his pockets, not moving. I thought maybe he was a staff member taking a break, but he wasn't doing anything, just watching. At one point, I think we made eye contact. Even though his face was shadowed, I felt his eyes lock onto mine. I glanced around to see if anyone else noticed. No one did. When I looked back, he was still there. Same position. I tried to ignore it, but I couldn't stop thinking about him. When the ride ended, I looked back one last time. He was gone. I didn't mention it. Maybe I imagined it. We returned to the lodge for more games and food. My parents sat by the bonfire while Jamie and I collected candy. Everything felt normal again. About an hour later, I saw him again. Jamie and I stood near the snack table when I noticed someone off to the side of the crowd. Same man, maybe 30 feet away, standing near the tree line, watching. My stomach tightened. He was looking in our direction. I tried to see his face, but the lighting was hard. I could make out a short beard and a logo on his cap. I nudged Jamie and told him. He looked over and said, "Maybe he's staff." I said, "He was in the woods during the hayride." Jamie shrugged. "Maybe he's a dad." I wanted to believe that, but he wasn't talking to anyone, just standing there. A few minutes later, he vanished again. Around 9, most of the younger kids had gone back to their cabins. The event was winding down, but Jamie and I still had energy. We decided to walk around before heading in. Behind the cabins was a trail into the woods. Jamie suggested we go a little way in, do something spooky before the night ended. I didn't want to go far, but we had flashlights and I didn't want to seem scared. So we walked down the dirt path, laughing and daring each other to keep going. The farther we went, the quieter it got. Resort sounds faded, just the crunch of our shoes on the path. We went maybe 200 feet before stopping near a clearing. An old wooden sign nailed to a tree read, "Private Property." We threw small rocks at it, pretending to summon ghosts or something dumb. Then we heard it. Footsteps. Heavy, slow footsteps coming from behind us, deeper in the woods. We froze, turned around. Jamie whispered, "Probably another kid." But it didn't sound like a kid. The steps were heavy, like an adult. I shined my flashlight down the path. The beam didn't reach far. No one yet. Then the footsteps stopped. Silence. Then a voice. "Hey there, boys." A man's voice. Calm, but unsettling. Jamie looked at me. I think he realized what I did. It was the man from the hayride. He stepped into the light just enough to reveal part of him. Same black jacket, same hat. He said, "What are you two doing out here? You like candy?" We didn't answer. He pulled something from his pocket, an orange wrapper, a Reese's cup. He said, "I've got more in my cabin. Come on, I'll give you some." Jamie stepped back. His face went pale. The man moved closer. "No need to be scared. It's Halloween. I'm just giving out candy. I saw you boys on the hayride." When he said that, my stomach dropped. I grabbed Jamie's arm and whispered, "Run." We turned and sprinted down the path. I heard him behind us, his footsteps pounding. I didn't look back. My heart was racing. The path felt longer than before. Finally, we saw the resort lights. I yelled for help as we burst from the trees towards the bonfire crowd. Adults turned, startled. We didn't stop until we reached them. I turned around, no one behind us. The path was empty. My parents rushed over. I told them everything. The man watching me on the hayride, seeing him again, and then chasing us. Jamie confirmed it all. My dad and another man grabbed flashlights and checked the trail. Nothing. Staff searched too. Still nothing. The resort called the local police. They arrived 30 minutes later, took our statements, and checked the area. They warned nearby cabins to stay alert. That night, my parents didn't let me out of their sight. We locked the cabin door. I couldn't sleep. Every sound outside made me jump. The next morning, police returned. No sign of him. No vehicles reported missing. No one matching his description had checked in. They said he was likely a trespasser. We left later that day. I stared out the car window, half expecting to see him in the woods. For weeks, I thought I saw him. Outside stores, on the road, even once at school. But it was always someone else. Or I hope it was. Jamie and I kept in touch. He said he couldn't sleep for days. Nothing ever came of it. No calls, no arrests, no answers. Now I'm older, and what scared me isn't what he did. It's what he could have done. If we'd believed him for even a second, if we'd walked toward him instead of running, I don't think I'd be here telling this story. And every Halloween since, whenever I see someone standing alone at the edge of a crowd, I think of that man. Because sometimes, people who look like they're part of the fun are watching for a different reason. This happened 2 years ago, Halloween night, 2023. I'm 25 now, but I was 22 at the time. I'd just finished a long shift at the community center where I work. We'd hosted a big fall festival, costume contests, trivia for candy, dodgeball games between kids and parents. It was fun, but exhausting. Community work is rewarding, sure, but it drains you. I got home around 6, ready to crash. That's when my little sister called. Her name's Savannah. She wanted me to take her and my nephew, Jackson, trick-or-treating. Neither our parents nor Jackson's were up for it, so it fell on me, the cool big brother, to make it happen. Savannah was 15, Jackson was 11. I wasn't feeling it, but I threw on some clothes and headed to my parents' place. Savannah was still finishing her costume, Raven from Teen Titans, complete with ghostly white makeup. Jackson was Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat. Once they were ready, we drove to a busy neighborhood in Camden to maximize their candy haul. We went house to house, everyone was friendly, generous. One older man even handed out hot dogs and sodas instead of candy. Said he preferred giving kids protein. It was better for them. Honestly, we need more people like that. Savannah and Jackson got compliments on their costumes. I saw some cool ones myself. The whole neighborhood had gone all out. After hitting the last house, we started walking back to the car. It was a 10-minute walk. We'd gone deep into the neighborhood. Things had quieted down. Fewer people were out. That's when I noticed someone across the street. dressed in all black, standing in a yard with no porch lights. I'm surprised I even saw them, but I'm always scanning my surroundings. They wore a hooded cloak, black outfit, and a mask. I couldn't tell if it was a man or woman. They were staring at us. I told Savannah and Jackson, "Stay close. There's someone across the yard. Look, but don't stare." Jackson laughed, thought it was someone trying to spook trick-or-treaters. Savannah looked worried. For context, I had a backpack with my Glock inside. Savannah knew. Jackson didn't. He's too young for that. When I told them to stay close, Savannah knew I was serious. As we walked, the figure kept watching. Then I heard heavy footsteps behind us, boots on concrete. I turned. Same person, same outfit. But now I saw more. Tactical vest, boots, black pants tucked in, full spandex mask. That changed everything. Someone dressed like that, you assume they're armed. I whispered, "Listen carefully. Don't stop walking. Don't look back. That person is following us." I looked at Jackson. He needed to understand without panicking. Savannah already got it. We kept walking, glancing back occasionally. The figure stayed the same distance behind. When we reached the car, they were still coming. I made a bold move. I pulled out my Glock and aimed. "Why are you following us?" I asked. They raised their hands, surprised maybe, then slowly removed the mask. It was a woman, mid-30s. She didn't answer, just stared. I asked again, "Why are you following us?" Her voice was robotic. "I'm an undercover cop. I got a report of a break-in. I was checking it out. When you looked at me funny, I assumed you were the suspect. Lower your weapon or I'll arrest you for threatening an officer." I hesitated, then lowered the gun. I didn't want to ruin the kid's night or get arrested, but her story didn't add up. Why stand outside, facing away from the house? Why assume I was the suspect just for looking at her? Why wear a cloak? I asked, "If you're undercover, why tactical gear? Doesn't that give you away? And the cloak, what's that about?" She didn't answer, just stared. Her expression shifted, something malicious in her eyes, like she was deciding what to do next. Savannah and Jackson stayed silent. Then she smiled. Creepy, unsettling. If you didn't have that gun, this night would have ended a hell of a lot different for you. Right then, 4 figures emerged from between the houses, all in tactical gear. No cloaks. 3 men, 1 woman. Blank faces. No emotion. Like they weren't even human. I told Savannah and Jackson to get in the car. Kept my eyes on the group. Once they were inside, I jumped in and drove off. The woman kept smiling. The others didn't. Their faces were empty. Soulless. It's hard to explain. The drive back was silent. I dropped the kids off, made sure they got inside, then went home to process everything. What haunted me most was, why us? The neighborhood was full of people. Why target us? I wish it ended there, but a few days later, I got a text from an unknown number. No words, just a photo. My car, parked outside my apartment. I called the police, told them everything. They took the report but said they couldn't investigate without a direct threat. Typical. Out of curiosity, or stupidity, I went back to that house. Knocked on the door. A man in his 40s answered. I asked if there'd been a break-in on Halloween. He looked confused, said no. Went to bed early, didn't notice anything. I told him what I saw. He had no idea. I thanked him and left. I already knew the cop story was fake, but I needed to confirm it. Whoever that woman and her crew were, they knew my number. They knew where I lived. Was it random? Or had they been watching me, fanning something? Did my being armed throw them off? Those thoughts messed me up. I got paranoid, started therapy, installed a room camera, needed to feel safe again. In case you're wondering, no more texts, No more sightings, just silence. But I still think about that night. Writing this helps. I'm trying to move on. If there's one thing I want people to take away, it's this. Always watch your surroundings. You never know who's watching you. Sometimes just existing is enough to get caught in something dangerous. Stay safe, stay protected. Because I truly believe being armed that night saved our lives. My name's Daniel, and this happened to me on Halloween night 3 years ago. I'm 29 now and work a dull office job, but the pay's solid. Back then, I was the new guy, stuck with the shifts no one wanted. Beginner's time off, late hours, the usual. So when Halloween, my favorite holiday, finally rolled around, I was genuinely excited. I looked forward to seeing kids be kids and relaxing at home with horror movies. At the time, I lived alone in a small house on the edge of a quiet town in Yorkshire. My girlfriend was away visiting her parents. It wasn't isolated exactly. I had neighbors, but the street went silent once trick-or-treating ended. Families usually shut off their porch lights around 9 p.m. Since I didn't have kids, I handed out candy until the crowd thinned. I'd grown used to the occasional ding-dong ditch prank. That's the trick in trick-or-treat, after all. That year, Halloween fell on a Saturday. It was chilly but clear. By 10:30, I was stretched out on the couch, half watching The Conjuring and picking through leftover candy. I hadn't seen anyone in over an hour. So when I heard a faint knock at my side door, I figured it was stragglers. But when I opened it, no one was there. Just the empty driveway and rustling leaves. I brushed it off. Kids being kids. I went back to the living room. About 15 minutes later, I heard it again. This time from the back door, the one leading to the deck. That set off alarms. Nobody used that entrance. I froze, listening. The TV was off now. I heard it clearly. The metal rattle of the doorknob being tested. Slowly, cautiously. Whoever was out there was either checking if it was locked or trying to be quiet. I crept into the kitchen, staying low. That's when I saw him through the window. A man crouched near the door, dark clothes, a cracked Halloween mask pushed up on his head. In his hand, a crowbar. He wasn't hiding. He was calm, deliberate, like he knew I was inside and didn't care. I backed away and grabbed my phone, whispering to 911. The operator told me to stay on the line, lock myself somewhere safe, and not engage. I didn't want to make noise upstairs, so I crouched at the top of the steps, clutching a kitchen knife, whispering updates. I peeked down and saw the man move away from the door. Then I heard it, the faint pop of a window screen being pried off. He was at the basement window now. I whispered, "He's at the basement." My voice shook. The dispatcher said officers were on their way. Then came the worst moment. I heard glass crack. He was breaking in. My blood ran cold. This wasn't a smash and grab. He knew I was there. Most burglars avoid homes with people inside. Minutes felt like hours. The dispatcher kept me talking. I heard footsteps crunching outside. He was circling the house. Then headlights. Relief flooded me as flashing red and blue lights lit up the blinds. The man bolted. I watched him sprint across the yard, but he didn't get far. Officers tackled him just past my driveway. I didn't realize I was shaking until I saw him in cuffs. That's when I saw what he'd been carrying: the crowbar, duct tape, and zip ties. This wasn't a burglar looking for valuables. He had a plan, and it was far worse. Police said he had a long record of break-ins. He was suspected in cases where people had gone missing. Weeks later, they followed up, told me what else they found in his backpack: a .45 handgun, several kitchen knives, and rope. To this day, I hate being home alone on Halloween. It's supposed to be about scares and fun. But now, when I hear footsteps or knocking outside, I remember everything. What chills me most is this. If the police had been just 5 minutes later, I might not be here to tell this story. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the shadows in quiet neighborhoods hide more than you think. And if you haven't seen my last video, it's waiting for you on screen now. 3 true suburban horror stories that'll make you question every porch light.